If you are someone who is trying to build iOS application and learning using AI, then this video is right for you because I am creating a series where I am using AI to learn iOS app building using Swift UI so that I don't get into the complexities of Swift UI. I don't use traditional method to learn everything as a coder. I just learn and do the surface level coding, that is prompting, which is the new coding language of 2025. So today I'm going to explain you how to use API directly into your iOS application. So let's get into the video. Now, as you already know that I am already working with the iOS application earlier, I am just extending that project only, which is the code widget, in which I have talked about how to build a widget, how to build an app, how to add app icon, and also I've created all these videos which you can watch in my channel. And you can say this was the previous architecture. So it had one data model, shared data layer, main app architecture. It had two tab, history view and editor view. And this was the main iOS application with editor view, history view, and display view. And one model container, which was sharing with widget extension. So this was the flow. So I asked Plot to summarize everything, and it did in its own way. Now I asked Plot, like I'm using one API, something called Ninjas API, apininjas.com, in which we get codes. So if we give any prompt, you can see that if we give category as success and wisdom, it gives us the one code, and it comes with limit as well. So it has parameters called something called limit 1 to 100, and then we have work, filter codes by work title and all. So I've given this request. Now this is the request I made. Like I've copy pasted everything and pasted to AI and told it what changes I have to do in the code architecture. So it told me that I need to create API models. Then it told me to create API service, which actually calls the API and serialize the data to store it in the model. And then the UI of the whole page. So you can say this is the UI. We are using V stack, like vertical stack. In vertical stack, we have one picker. Then now everything like content, code list, categories, and all. Then we have something called content view, in which we are updating the tab. So you can see we are adding another navigation with, that is code editor, this particular view, API codes view. So we have to add this one. And then it told me to add network permission into info.plist. So then it summarized it. Now I asked another question, how to save API keys. So it gave me an complex implementation, which I didn't like very much. So I told AI, consider we will hard code the API key for now for simplicity of implementation, and give the complete implementation from start with reasoning such as what are the main actors, how network call is made with data flow. So I asked AI, AI did the implementation for me. Okay, so it told we need to create API code model, because we need, if you don't know what model is, you should watch my earlier videos. But if I just give you a little bit of draft, like a surface level view model is nothing but a schema. In database, we create schema. Similar to that, in mobile, in application, they have their own database, and to talk to the database, we need to create model which actually talks directly. So if you are using something called Drizzle ORM in Next.js or something, it is similar to that. We create model. So you can see that I am creating importing foundation, then struct, like structure, API code, and I'm creating this model. And you can see that we need to separate model for API codes because they have different properties than our local code model. And why model is important, I will tell you that. So if you directly convert your particular API call response, that is a JSON response, directly into UI, Swift UI after the API call, sometimes what happens is that API provider may change their parameters, may change variables, may add new variables. Then UI will be not be aware of that, and it will crash. So to prevent that, we create model. So whenever we do API call, we store it in the model, and from the model we show it directly. So if there is any error happens, that happens in the copy pasting in the model, and it doesn't crash the UI. To save the crashing the UI, we implement this model type of service. Then we create API service with network layer. So you can see here we are using main actor, observable object. So you can read why we need main actor, because UI must happen in the main thread, and observable object to make reactive with Swift UI. So whenever this API is called, it's observed by the UI as well. So you can see we are using state object, that is, it is saying what are the changes happening in code API service, and we are using that. And this is the whole implementation it did, adding the third tab to the existing, and this is, so you can see what is the data flow architecture. So main actor is there in code API service, ensure all UI updates happen on the main thread, network call, state management, error handling. By main actor, all published properties must be updated on the main thread for secure reactivity. And then data flow, if you see, user interaction happens, that I choose. So I have not shown you the app, right? So let's get into the application before understanding the implementation. So you can see that I have the app open. So this was the earlier application. This was the widget which was showing here. This was the icon which I added yesterday. And you can write anything, you can write your code, and it will be updated in the history and the widget as well. But this is the new item which I've added, discuss. So quote of the day: the road to success doesn't allow detours. That is actually nice. Now if I go to success, it gets the 10 most like the quotes. So it got 10 quotes and like success quotes. Now if I do the wisdom, it got 10 wisdom quotes. So I can see this is thing which we have understood. And this is what you need to know. This is the application you have built. So user interact, category selection, API codes view, state select category on changes trigger task, code API service fetch quotes, perform network request. It gives the data after, like, from the request, makes HTTP call, and then we get JSON response. We pass it to decoder, which is the API code array, which is the model we created. Then we publish the codes property updated on when active. Then it automatically refreshes the API codes view, list displays updated codes. So you can see how we are doing the request building. It is similar to how we do in Next.js as well. We are using async and await pattern here directly. So this is again a modern approach which AI actually knows. And after that, you don't have to get into the complexity. You just need to understand that AI can implement that. You just need to understand if AI gets stuck any day, you need to know what are actually main actors, what are actually the async, whether async is there or not, whether you can build request or not. So you need to understand whether AI understands that or not. And you can see AI actually knows what a state object, AI actually knows what are published, where, what are different parameters. You actually saw that what is main actor and all. So AI knows that we can just talk in the AI language, like use main actor, use URLSession, and things like that. And how the JSON's response is handled and all, it maps to API code. And then we are doing some memory performance as well and all. So this is handled by AI. Now there were some issues which I talked to, like told AI, like this is the issues, and it actually solved that. And after that, the build was successful, and which you can see in the application as well. Now I will close this app. I will close this one. I will close this one, and I will open Xcode to show you the code changes as well. So it is opening right now in front of you guys. Open existing project. We are doing the code widget app. So we will do code widget. So if I go to the Git, you can see what are the changes we did. So we added this API code, which you code. Okay, let me just go to here. API code, this model which we have created, which is decoded using JSON parser, and like this one, and then we are creating different enums. So code category, then what is the API endpoint and display name. So you can see this one and the UI on how we are doing everything. So this is the UI code which you can see, and after that we have the code API service, which is the main important part to understand how API works. So you can see this is my API key which I need to change. So right now I will do API key before commit. So this is the API key which I have hard coded, and then the codes, you can see I am creating a URL session in the init and all. So then fetch codes, how to fetch codes, and we are doing async and things like that, and you can see that. So this is the approach which you can also use. And after that, and okay, so this was the few updates. So you can see code API service, API codes view, and API code. These are the three files we have created, and content view, in which actually we have added the navigation stack. So this is how you implement the UI, API call, and everything. We require this because everything we cannot store in the app. We need proper server communication and all with latest information. So that's why API, how to render API and everything, you need to understand that. So we have and like we have implemented that. Now we can build very basic applications which
It's
don't
23
need
hours.
API and directly renders it into the UI. Now the next step we need to do, that is linking the each customer should have their own data. So for that I'm planning to use Supabase. Then after that, for payments I'm planning to use RevenueCat, and let's see how things roll out in the future. But this is the plan. So this was it, guys. This was what I wanted to talk about, and I will see you in the next video. Till then, take care and bye.